Winner of the American Idol Season 23 award as a result of his significant victory, Jamal Roberts is still feeling elated. According to the most recent information that he has provided, he is continuing to make the most of all of that momentum to his advantage, as he has just recently secured a brand new employment. In light of this, what do we know about what is ahead for him? Jamal Roberts triumphed in every category of American Idol's 23rd season. Fans of American Idol witnessed the conclusion of Season 23 of the reality singing competition, which revealed that the ultimate vote between Jamal Roberts and John Foster was the deciding factor in the battle in the end. Each of the performers put everything they had into the competition in order to make it that far into the competition, and after everything they had done to reach that point, they both wanted to win the most important award. When everything was said and done, Jamal Roberts triumphed over John Foster to successfully claim the title of champion. As a result of this enormous victory, his numerous supporters were overjoyed for him. It was all worth it in the end for Jamal, after he had put everything on the line, and after he had fought through all of the pressure and nerves that come along with performing for the entire world to witness. After his enormous victory, Roberts has secured a major gig. When someone like Jamal Roberts triumphs in a competition such as American Idol, the most important question that people have after watching him for a whole season is wondering what he will do after an accomplishment of this magnitude. In spite of the fact that he did not emerge victorious, John Foster has maintained a successful career by capitalizing on the attention he has received. As a result, more and more people are interested in learning what Jamal has been keeping hidden since he won the championship. In accordance with the most recent information that has been circulating, Jamal Roberts is going to be a special guest on the Boy Is Mine tour, which will also feature Brandy and Monica. It is the song that Brandy and Monica released in 1998 that serves as the inspiration for the tour's name. Therefore, it is imperative that any individuals who have been admirers of these musicians for a considerable amount of time purchase their tickets. Jamal Roberts, the winner of American Idol, expressed his gratitude for the opportunity. Jamal Roberts recently took to social media in order to convey his appreciation for the incredible opportunity that has been presented to him. Roberts said in the caption of the update, "The things God is doing in my life and new music is on the way, sit tight, oh, and I love y'all." This was in addition to the graphic that he shared, which included all of the impending tour dates. The Boy Is Mine tour begins with a performance on October 16 in Cincinnati, Ohio, and continues all the way until December 7 in Houston, Texas, which is the tour's final stop. The tour can be found in Houston. Listeners will undoubtedly have the opportunity to hear some new music from Jamal Roberts, which is something that his devoted followers have been anticipating for quite some time. At 3:17 a.m., Jamal Roberts' phone lit up his dark apartment with a number he didn't recognize. International, a string of digits bracketed by +44 like a secret handshake. He nearly declined it. He just drifted off on the couch, a hoodie for a blanket, the TV frozen on a paused replay of his American Idol final. Friends had come over, the kind who insist on reliving the very thing your body is still trying to come down from. The city outside was a hush of neon and delivery scooters. Jamal blinked away the kind of exhausted happiness that feels like jet lag and answered, "Mr. Roberts?" A measured British voice, vowels polished. "We're calling on behalf of Eon Productions. We'd like to discuss a confidential music commission. Working title, Iris." He sat up so fast the hoodie gave up and slid to the floor. 2 days later, he was in London. No social posts, no story tags. Nothing but a carry-on, a pair of headphones, and the feeling you get when the world is quietly moving the furniture of your life while you're still standing in the room. They didn't say the real title until the door to Studio One closed and the assistant collected everyone's phones like contraband at a summer camp for famous people. "You understand the discretion," said the woman who introduced herself simply as Barbara. "We've heard of you. We've watched you. We think you might be the voice." She smiled, not unkindly, and finally said the words he'd been holding his breath for, the next Bond theme. Jamal didn't speak. He laughed, one short, involuntary expulsion of air, the human body's way of not fainting. The kid who sang the hallway quiet. Jamal's idol story had already turned him into the kind of household name your aunt texts you about. He arrived at auditions in an off-brand denim jacket and sneakers that had learned every corner of a bus route. He sang Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come," not as an anthem but as a memory, and the room went church quiet on the second verse. In Hollywood Week, he flipped "Creep" into a gospel lament you could hang stained glass on. By the time the live shows rolled around, he was the elastic middle of the season, able to fold R&B into rock into a tender country bridge without apologizing to any camp. His original finale single, Hometown Neon, carried him across the confetti, an instant family barbecue classic. 4 chords, a choir pad tucked under the chorus like a promise, a high note that never sounded show-offy because he sang it like a welcome mat. He didn't do cool, he did true. America voted for that. In the days after he won, the articles all used the same words: meteoric, jaw-dropping range, old soul, new shine. He signed his paperwork, shook the hands you're supposed to shake, FaceTimed his mother, Miss Lorraine, who runs a one-woman ministry of casseroles on their block, and tried to sleep. Then came Iris. A room full of quiet legends. Abbey Road Studio 1 is the sort of room that makes grown musicians behave. The ceiling floats. The air holds ghosts gently. In the corner sat a mic older than Jamal's grandparents, the kind of ribbon microphone that puts a gold frame around a voice you can't buy at any store. Waiting for him, a small army of taste. A composer with spectacles that only slid when a phrase needed rewriting. A string arranger whose credits read like a museum wall. A rhythm section that could groove a whisper. And a co-writer, lean, kind eyes, who nodded once and said, "We've sketched a spine. Will you flesh it out?" They played in the bones, a 6/8 heartbeat, minor key turning like a key in an unmarked door, a 3-note motif that felt like footsteps on wet concrete. It was not retro and not desperate for modernity. It was Bond. The chord change in the pre-chorus tilted like a train taking a curve at speed. "Sing nonsense," the co-writer said. "We'll find the vowels first." Jamal closed his eyes and let his mouth do what it had learned to do in hallways before talent shows, on stairwells where reverb is free. He slid into a vowel that held both ache and appetite. Boo, ah, the syllables became streetlights, then a silhouette, then a name he didn't know whether he could say. "Say it," Barbara encouraged, a director's instinct for when an artist is hiding behind adjectives. "We can always rewrite. Right now we discover." He said it, not the villains, not the cities. The name you say at 3:17 a.m. when your heart is both a door and a dare. In his mouth it was just enough sin to taste, just enough mercy to swallow. "Yes," the arranger said. The computer recorded a thing the room had felt before anyone could fully explain it. Between takes they gave him tea he didn't drink in notes that felt like gifts. "Hold the consonants like secrets," the composer murmured. "Let the strings breathe around you." June Hart, brought in for lyric counsel, a Nashville sage with knuckles like tiny anthems, leaned over and wrote on a post-it, "Say less, mean more." By day 2 the nonsense vowels had close. In the shadow where the silver turns to smoke / I hear your promise, every syllable a rope / pull me closer / burn me colder / I still go. The last line wasn't perfect, which is how he knew it might be right. The weight of the canon. There are 12 ways to be in the Bond theme family, and only 2 of them go down easy. A power belt, the Bassi bloodline, a wounded lullaby with iron in its wrists, the Adele/Billy Branch. The other 10 are risks that age well when they work and vanish when they don't. Jamal kept a running list in his head of the ones that taught him something. The brass as bravado, the strings as a raised eyebrow, the snare as a suppressed laugh. He didn't want to cosplay any of them. He wanted to talk back to them like you talk back to a beloved aunt, respectful, a little sassy, on equal footing if you're brave. He called his mother in between sessions. "They want you to be you," she said, as if the sentence were easy. "You is why you're there." Miss Lorraine had opinions about tuxedos too. "If they put you in something that makes you look like a wedding cake, I will fly over and fix it." The secrecy in the city. He couldn't tell anyone real. His best friend Terrence texted him daily, "You alive?" Jamal responded with photos of random London bricks and a sheepish emoji. He posted one story from the British Museum of a statue's hand, nothing more. The internet lit a match and tried to make a forest fire. Rumors hissed. Is Jamal doing a West End run? Is he collaborating with Stormzy? Did he get knighted for good vowels? The team named the song Porcelain in emails to avoid leaks. The file on his laptop was called Groceries. He wrote himself a note in his phone he never sent to anyone. "You're not a fluke. They chose you when you weren't singing your best. That's the truth to build on." On the 3rd day they moved to Air Lyndhurst to track the full orchestra, the kind of room where entire movies pause to be born. 75 players took their seats, a living machine of wood and brass. The conductor lifted his hands and the downbeat felt like a door unlocking in a dream. Jamal stood in the booth. The red light came on. He thought of teenage him in the back pew, trying harmony parts because the alto line felt like a puzzle someone left unsolved. He thought of walking out on the Idol stage the first time and realizing the cameras were just bigger eyes that could be kind if you behaved. He thought of Miss Lorraine humming at the stove. He sang. He missed the second bar and asked for another pass. They gave him 5. On take 4, he found the cry in the bridge, the one that arrives half a beat before you think it will. On take 5, he undersold the last chorus, and somehow it was bigger. The conductor smiled through the glass. June pressed her palms together once like a prayer she didn't want to put words on. When it was done, no one whooped. They just sat in the quiet you want to keep. The day the internet broke its ankle running to catch up. A month later, the announcement came in the polite bomb-droppy way the franchise prefers. A black and white photo of Jamal in a suit that did not make him look like cake, a title card or release date, 2 lines from the chorus in italic serif. No emoji. The world supplied those. #JamalBond trended in 17 countries. Someone set a clip of his creep to a montage of Bond gadgets. A trumpet player in New Orleans stitched herself playing the motif on a porch while her grandfather clapped offbeat joyfully. A high school choir in Des Moines learned the harmony from the 30-second teaser and posted a Fieldhouse version that made the bleachers sound like they'd sprouted velvet. Terrence finally got his text. It was groceries, Jamal wrote. Just very expensive ones. The official drop hit at midnight London time. The first 6 seconds were all hush and suspicion. Then the flugelhorn arrived, fat, tired, spectacular. Jamal entered on a breath that sounded like he'd been holding something he could finally put down. The chorus wasn't a shout. It was a dare delivered at conversational volume. If I break, I'll break in porcelain / beautiful at every fracture line / hold me up to light, and I begin / to show you everything you were trying not to find. Twitter argued about whether porcelain was too on the nose. People who could carry a tune argued back by singing it. Radio programmers sent each other texts like gamblers on streaks. The sync team's phones caught fire. A brand that makes tailored suits bought ad space they'd never be able to afford again. Somewhere in a quiet house on the edge of Atlanta, Miss Lorraine sat on her couch and watched the little bar on her iPad move left to right. She whispered thank you once for reasons that had nothing to do with algorithms. The gig behind the gig. If making the song was the mountain, the performance was the weather. You can't control it. You can only dress wisely. They booked the Royal Albert Hall for the music video and hired a director who loves faces more than fireworks. No stunt car, no desert runway, just Jamal, a camera that never blinked, an orchestra, and a phantom dance partner who was really on time. He wore the suit. It wore him back nicely. The night of the world premiere, he walked the carpet and remembered to breathe. The question everyone asked was the same. What does it feel like to join a canon like this? He answered the only way he knew how. Like being a guest at a very old table, he said. You don't try to redecorate the room. You pass the salt when they ask and tell a new story over the same candlelight. Inside, when the credits rolled and his name appeared next to the original song performed by, he didn't look at the screen. He watched the audience. A couple in their 70s held hands. A crew guy in the aisle, lanyard still on, tilted his head to hear the strings better. The lead actress wiped one quick tear as if embarrassed to be seen. That's the weather you want. What a gig like this actually changes. On paper, everything. His calendar bloomed with flight gates. The label carved out a window to make his debut album, live players, risky bridges, no filler. A streaming service slid a script across a table. A limited series set in a Memphis recording studio in 1971. Fashion houses sent jackets, late-night calls, award shows ghost whispered. In life, smaller things moved. His hometown bar, the Switchyard, with wing night, and a jukebox that never learned any songs after 2009, changed the chalkboard. Congrats, Jamal. Porcelain on loop until the Clemson game. The choir director at his old church texted, when you're home, we're doing an arrangement. Bring the tenor section their flowers. Miss Lorraine refused to let any network film her kitchen. They can have the living room, she said, but my oven does not perform. On a Tuesday morning in September, back in the States between obligations, Jamal slipped into the church during weekday rehearsal. He took the cheap mic, no gold frame, just a black stick you speak announcements into, and sang his theme at half volume to a dozen altos who were trying to learn their part. It sounded better than all the fancy rooms combined because the room asked for nothing and gave back familiarity. After he sat on the front steps with a paper cup of lemonade, someone pressed into his hand and finally answered Terrence's earlier question. What does it feel like? Like being the bridge in a song, he said. Not the verse everyone quotes. not the chorus everyone shouts. The part that gets you from what you knew to what you didn't know you needed. Terrence smirked. So, are you still picking up my calls when you're Bond famous? Only at 3:17 a.m., Jamal said, printing and put his phone face down so the sun could warm the case. The next note. The machine will keep machining, press cycles, tours, a holiday release, because somebody will insist. The song will notch its milestones and be compared to every other theme by people who use words like penumbra. He will sit in rooms that smell like citrus cleaner and new paper, and be asked to explain how he did the thing he did before he knew he could do it. But when he thinks of the gig, he will not think of the carpet or the trophies that may or may not sit on a shelf. He will think of a dark apartment at 3:17 a.m., a number he didn't recognize, and a voice that asked him to be himself at scale. He will think of a ribbon microphone older than time, a tea he didn't drink, a post-it that said "say less, mean more." He will think of a room that held its breath, and then exhaled together, like a promised cat. And somewhere in a car at a red light, a stranger will hum porcelain under their breath without knowing why. And the world will be a fraction kinder because vulnerability got a melody and a good suit and a passport. That's the gig Jamal Roberts landed. Not just Bond. Not just a theme. The job of carrying open-heartedness into rooms that are trained to be cool and leaving them warmer than he found them.